Greetings, Okuna Recaps here. In this video, I'm gonna explain an American crime drama mystery movie called Inside Man. Spoilers ahead. Proceed with caution and have fun. A man is speaking into a camera. He says his name is Dalton Russell and he just robbed the bank perfectly. Besides wanting to get rich, he robbed because he can. But how he did is a mystery. A man wearing painter's coveralls gets into a painter's van, drives through the city and picks up the passengers who are also wearing painter's coveralls. Then, the van is parked outside Manhattan Trust Bank at 20 Exchange Place. While the customers and bank employees are minding their own business, the people in painter's coveralls are unloading mysterious objects onto hand carts. After that, Dalton walks inside the bank and points two infrared flashlights at security cameras to blind them. Then, the other robbers rush inside the bank and lock the doors. A security guard caught them in the act, but Dalton holds him at gunpoint immediately. Then, the robbers drop smoke bombs, brandish firearms, and the whole bank is quickly subdued. A patrol officer notices the smoke coming out from the bank and calls police dispatch. But Dalton holds him at gunpoint and warns that the hostages will be killed if the cops come near the door. The officer clears the area and calls for backup. At the precinct, Detective Keith Frazier and his partner, Bill Mitchell, are informed about the robbery by their commanding officer and he wants them to lead the situation, so they set off immediately. On the other hand, founder and chairman of the bank, Arthur Case, is being informed about the bank robbery. For some reason, his face falls as soon as he heard the news. Meanwhile, the robbers lead the hostages into a room near the vault and collect their keys and cell phones. One bank employee tries to hide his phone, saying he left it at home, but Dalton finds his phone and beats him mercilessly in front of all the hostages to set an example. Then, Dalton tells the hostages to strip to their underwear and orders them to wear painter's suits with fumes masks and dark shades. Now the hostages and robbers are indistinguishable. In the meantime, Frazier and Mitchell arrive at the scene, meet Captain Darius, and he briefs the current situation to the duo. Inside the bank, one hostage is coughing uncontrollably and saying he has a heart condition, so Dalton releases him to the police. After that, the robbers walk around the bank and stop when they're inside the bank storeroom. At the same time, Case calls a very powerful fixer, Madeline White, and they agree to meet in person. After the robbery, Frazier and Mitchell are interviewing a bank employee who tries to hide his phone and beat up by Dalton. He tells the duo that the robbers call themselves a variation of Steve, Steven, Steve-O, and Stevie. Darius briefs Frazier and Mitchell what he got from the released hostage, that there are 4 robbers and they will throw 2 dead bodies if they see any cop near the door. Frazier told the other 2 that he'll wait for the robbers to make the first move and see what they do. Meanwhile, Case explains his situation to White. He just wants her to protect his safety deposit box. But White can see that Case is desperate and lying, so she warns him that their agreement is over if she discovers the content inside the box is something much more serious. He reassures her that the contents are his family heirlooms and they had a deal. Outside the bank, Mitchell found a painting company van. Frazier notices a fake sticker and orders Mitchell to process the van for fingerprints. Frazier then tries to communicate with the robbers. Inside the bank, Dalton is watching the phone ring but chooses not to answer. As soon as Frazier hangs up the phone, an officer informs him that security footage is ready. But to their horror, Dalton has already fried the cameras. Then, the robbers release another hostage along with a black box hanging on his neck. Meanwhile, White pays a visit to the mayor, asks him to give her every courtesy from the officer in charge of the robbery. Clearly, White got something on him, so he has no choice but to do the favor. At the same time, Frazier, Mitchell, and Darius are questioning the released hostage. He reveals that there are 4 robbers and somewhere between 20 to 40 hostages. After that, they examines the black box sent by the robbers. They have rigged the whole bank with bombs, want 2 buses and a jumbo jet with a pilot, all by 9 p.m. If the police don't comply, they will kill 1 hostage in front of TV cameras in every hour. Suddenly, Case shows up and asks what the robbers want. He tries to offer his help but Frazier declines. Desperate, Case tries to sit and wait inside the command center, but Frazier kicks him out. After that, the robbers hand a note to the police, demand to get food supply for 50+ people. So the police prepare to send in pizzas with audio transmitters hidden inside the pizza boxes. Inside the bank, one of the hostages loses control, pulls off his mask and shouts at the fellow hostages that they all can get killed. While he's shouting, Dalton storms into the room, drags him by his ankle and beats him. Outside, while the police are delivering pizzas and water bottles, Frazier tries to talk to the robbers, but they leave without a word and lock the doors. As planned, the police are now listening to the live audio feed from inside the bank and discover that the robbers are communicating in foreign language. Inside the bank, the robbers are moving hostages around from room to room to keep them disoriented and confused so that when the police interviews them after the robbery, they can't tell who is who or what is what. Their plan proved to be right in the next scene where Frazier and Mitchell are questioning the hostages after the robbery. The duo gets frustrated because all the hostages don't know anything about the robbers. Frazier asks for help from one of the bystanders to find out what kind of language the robbers are speaking. The woman says the language is Albanian, but the audio is an old recording of the propaganda speech by one of the former presidents of Albania, and they've been tricked by the robbers. Inside the bank, the female robber and Dalton are opening the safety deposit box number 392. Inside the box, they found secret Nazi documents, several black pouches, and a red jewelry box. Meanwhile, the mayor and White arrive at the crime scene, meet with Frazier, and the mayor orders Frazier to work with White. Frazier denies, so they offer him $140,000 and a promotion. Frazier declines the money but accepts the promotion. After that, he calls Dalton, informs him that the police know about the propaganda speech, and tries to threaten Dalton. But Dalton replies he's the one making demands, quit playing and give him what he wants, or he'll kill the hostages. Then, Frazier calls White to somewhere private, calls Dalton, tells him that someone wants to talk to him, and passes the phone to White. White tells Dalton if she can be assured certain interests are protected, she can promise him a safe way out, and she can't discuss the matter on the phone. So Dalton lets her come inside the bank. White tells that if Dalton gives up now, she can make sure minimum prison sentence, plus $2 million. Dalton denies the offers and tells her about Case. His riches comes from him working with the Nazis in Switzerland, and he uses that blood money to build this bank. He shows her the Nazi documents and taunts that Case should have destroyed these a long time ago. He tells her that if he got caught one day, she and Case will have to bail him out. Frazier, Mitchell, and Darius are in the command center discussing about the robbers' escape plan. Frazier explains that although they think they are stalling, the robbers are the ones stalling, they're in no rush, and he's gonna find out their plan right now. He then calls Dalton and tricks him that the plane is ready, but he needs to come inside the bank and check the hostages, to which Dalton agrees. Dalton takes Frazier through a series of connecting offices and shows the hostages. On the way out, Frazier pretends to offer Dalton a handshake, grabs him and wrestles him to the ground. But he got caught. Dalton is furious, says Frazier has crossed a line, and kicks him out of the bank. As soon as Frazier gets inside the command center, he gets a call from Dalton. On the phone, Dalton tells Frazier to have the camera zoom in on second floor window. The robbers are circling around a hostage whose head is covered in a white sheet. Suddenly, he shoots the hostage in the head. After that, Frazier is ordered to step down by his captain. Darius is in charge now, and he's planning to raid the bank by force. Mitchell worries that if things go south, the higher-ups will surely put the blame on Frazier. To his surprise, Frazier tells him not to worry and reveals about the deal he made with White and the mayor. Suddenly, Frazier realizes something, rechecks the metal box sent out by the robbers, pulls off a panel and finds a transmission device. Turns out, Dalton bugged them first. Frantic, Frazier tries to warn Darius, but Darius doesn't stand down. In the bank, the robbers make sure they all have their hoods and masks on, throw smoke grenades, and gather all the hostages together. A door is blown open with a small explosive, and people in painters' outfits run out of the bank in every direction. During the chaos, police don't know what to do and shoot everyone with rubber bullets. Darius has to order his men to stand down and detain all the people who run out from the bank. After that, police search inside the bank. They find that all the money is still inside the vault and the rifles left behind by the robbers are fake. In the toilet, they find a white sheet stained with red dye. The hostage execution is a setup too. In the storeroom, they find plastic trash bags filled with all the clothes from the hostages. After the robbery, Captain doesn't want higher-ups to breathe down on his neck, so he orders Frazier to bury the case. However, Frazier discovers that the safety deposit box number 392 is missing from the bank record, so he pays a visit to the courthouse to get a warrant. There he finds White waiting for him. She reminds him about their agreement and pressures him to bury the case. But Frazier had secretly recorded the incriminating conversation with his pen when he first met the mayor and White. He plays her the incriminating audio file and leaves. White meets with Case and tells him that Frazier is under control, but no hope for his envelope. Case gives her the check for her service, and she leaves. Meanwhile, Dalton is still inside the bank, hiding behind a false wall which he and his accomplices had built inside the bank storeroom. He takes a black pouch which he took from safety deposit box number 392 and picks up a diamond. Then, he pushes out of the false wall and puts it back carefully. Across the street, the other robbers are waiting for Dalton in a car. At the same time, Frazier and Mitchell arrives at the bank. The robbers see the duo and warn Dalton. Dalton hangs up the phone and walks out of the storeroom. On his way, he intentionally bumps into Frazier, apologizes him, and walks out of the bank calmly. Inside the car, one of the robbers asks Dalton about something, to which he replies he left it in the bank and assures that it's in good hands. Meanwhile, Frazier and Mitchell opens the safety deposit box 392 and finds an unfinished package of gum, along with a few used gum wrappers, a jewelry box with a Cartier diamond ring, and a note that says, "Follow the ring." After that, the duo confronts Case that they know about White and safety deposit box 392. Case denies everything, so Frazier shows him the ring. Case tries to keep his cool and asks the duo to leave. The duo warn Case they will follow the ring and leave. Frazier then visits White and the mayor and shows them the ring. Then, he gives them a card with a phone number for a federal office responsible for prosecuting war crimes, gives his pen to White, which contains the incriminating audio file, and leaves. Finally, Frazier arrives at his house and realizes that there's something in his pocket. He takes it out and finds a small diamond. Immediately, he remembers the man who bumped into him at the bank earlier. He smiles to himself in amusement, and the movie ends. Subscribe and turn on the notification for more videos like this. Smash a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching and catch you in the next one.